Name confused. By Enchanted Nightingale. Chapter 47. The Curious Case of Miss Hudson. Her name came up related to one of Sherlock's cases just around the time the youngest of the Holmes siblings requested a passport. The paperwork was all ready. What remained was the approval for it, and since it was Mycroft's brother, the request was immediately sent to Anthony's BlackBerry. "Odysseus, what should I do with it?" she asked the wizard.
"I'll prove it,"
he had readily replied. "But why would he need to cross the pond?" Anthony asked.
"For a case he took,"
Odysseus replied. She blinked and asked to see the case. Apparently Miss Hudson had asked for Sherlock's help when her first floor flat kept being invaded by all sorts of unsavory characters. Her words. Sherlock met her a week before he took the case after being kicked out of his former residence for a number of complaints, playing violin at all sorts of hours, strange fumes coming from the apartment, strange noises, and low-level explosions wrecking the kitchen, the door being torn off 3 separate times due to one of Sherlock's cases were only some of them. Another thing was that her name was not actually Hudson. That used to be her maiden name before she married Neil Turner and moved to the USA with him for a few years before coming back to stay in London permanently after 10 years of marriage to him. The reasons were sketchy, but apparently Mr. Turner had at one point been thought guilty of being a serial killer. It was Sherlock who offered to help her when she mentioned that Mr. Turner had been released on bail due to lack of evidence. Apparently she thought her husband guilty and wanted him locked up. What she said to convince Sherlock Holmes the man was guilty, Anthea could not find it in the files. "She asked him to help keep him out of prison?" Anthea asked.
"No,"
the wizard grinned.
"She asked him to help convict him."
Anthea blinked. "But that means that if Mr. Turner gets convicted, he will be given the death penalty in Florida."
The green-eyed man nodded. "That's right."
"And Sherlock thinks it's a worthy cause?"
Anthea asked. "He certainly seems to find the request unusual and not boring,"
Odysseus remarked. She frowned. "So we're setting Sherlock loose in the U.S.?
"Oh no, he will have someone watching after him. Now is hardly the best time to cause an international incident,"
Odysseus commented. "So passport and visa?"
Odysseus nodded. "Mycroft has people he knows over at CIA. We'll have everything ready by tomorrow,"
he said and hurried away, sending her the contact number she needed to call and settle everything.